Hey, Food Plant Nursery, Brookville. They were going to be talking a little bit about Jerusalem artichoke. It's a food, so it's a root crop, kind of small right now. It's barely August, and we're going to try to be digging some of these and eating them, and also be selling a few hopefully this fall. So there's the flower, pretty flower. It's in the sunflower family. So we got a food that grows with you don't do nothing to it. Mow it off later. You can do all kinds of things with it. It's a pretty flower. It's a decent size. It's got a dark, you can tell it by, generally the stalk is green, and then it's as the season goes on, it gets darker. I couldn't tell you really why, but that's one way you can tell they're Jerusalem artichoke. They say they're invasive, possibly. You can take over an area. So why grow grass when you can grow food? I know it don't make sense. What's the big deal being invasive? If you got concerns about that, put them in a spot like a container, or maybe even a like I have here. I have mine in a loop in my turnaround in my driveway is where one of them is where I keep a lot of my mother plants. So they don't look bad. They're pretty good looking. They're right along my driveway. Weed suppression. You don't see no weeds coming through these dudes. They'll choke them out. And I think they also have like a few characteristics of things not wanting to grow through it, but they're pretty dense. So saying all that, let's switch a little bit to the permaculture side. So what the heck? So you can use this for a chop and drop. So it pulls nutrient up from the ground. You can chop it up, and you throw it along the edge of your fruit trees or your berry bushes, your nut trees, things like that. Brings in also to the permaculture thing is I have not been putting these in my fruit tree guilds, but they're definitely going. This fall they'll be going in. I should have plenty of tubers. Speaking of tubers real quick, you cook these, you can eat them raw. They don't taste, a whole lot of, kind of like a potato, but not as starchy. If you cook them, they're a tender. You can make like a potato out of it. You can slice them up for a salad. Leaves a good crunch. To me, it tastes like a carrot. But being a root crop, a lot of these root crops kind of have the same kind of taste. Your carrots, potatoes, like a raw potato kind of reminds you of that. There is a negative of this dude. Hey, it grows good. Nobody knows what it hardly is, so you can have it growing anywhere you want it. Looks good, brings pollinators in. It's a mulch. You can use it for barrier plants around things. But they also call these Jerusalem artichokes, sunchokes, but you hear the word fartichoke. So it's really good for you, but it does give you some gas. So certain people in your life, you may not want to eat too many of these raw. You want to cook them. So as you can see, it's a good looking plant. Permaculture, mulch. That's just a great thing. Can you get enough mulch? I haven't talked about it much on this channel, but Jadom, and it's a Korean style farming. You can make a pesticide from this, from the root I hear, and the leaves and the stalk. I'm not making it out of the root. I'm going to eat the root. But the leaves and the stalk, what do you use for mulch? You can cook it down, and you make a pesticide. We'll make some of that in the future, but for now, let's continue on here on this. I ain't got a whole lot more to say about it. I might try to make these a little bit short. But get out there and grow that food, especially the easy foods. These are foods that I'm gonna really concentrate on. This is one of my top foods for not having to do nothing to it. At some point, you have to go in there. If you didn't even want to eat them, you would need to thin them out a little bit because they kind of choke each other out if you get too deep of roots and stuff. But it's kind of like the comfrey root. If you leave a piece of it in there, it is gonna probably come up again. Evasive. So what? So's fescue. I mean, if you ain't running cattle or goats or sheep on something, you just gotta mow it. So, what's wrong with having too much food? Hey, let's keep growing that food. I can help you out anyway. Leave a comment, give me a call. You know how to get a hold of me. Food Plant Nursery, Brookville. Keep growing up food. Out.